With Papa Smurf's wisdom and a bold new plan, hope begins to take shape. But time is running out and Matthus Pepersack won't wait quietly. This is Chapter 6. As they stand before a massive tree, Papa Smurf explains that they need the whole tree, not just a branch, for the flute. Peewit is incredulous at the idea, while the Smurfs prepare to start chopping. Johan and Peewit watch as a group of Smurfs begin to chop down the tree, with Papa Smurf humorously suggesting that the Smurfs teach him how to make a flute. Peewit expresses skepticism, calling the effort a waste. Peewit leans against the tree, observing that the Smurfs' progress is slow. Papa Smurf continues to chop away diligently, while Peewit comments on the sluggish pace of their work. Peewit questions whether starting with a different approach might have been more effective, gesturing toward the tree. Papa Smurf adamantly disagrees, continuing to focus on chopping. Peewit points at the tree, suggesting a different approach, but Papa Smurf dismisses his idea, focused on chopping with determination. The conversation turns a bit tense as Peewit insists on his point. Peewit throws his hands up in exasperation, telling Papa Smurf to do whatever he wants. Papa Smurf, feeling challenged, questions Peewit's intentions with a cheeky grin. Peewit leans in, calling out the Papa Smurf's behavior, while Papa Smurf reacts in surprise at being called out. Papa Smurf, clearly frustrated, points towards a hatchet and exclaims about not smurfing someone with exaggerated gestures. Johan approaches and inquiring about the situation. While Papa Smurf says Peewit called him Smurf, Peewit defends himself by saying Papa Smurf started it. Johan, looking exasperated, urges them to be sensible and points out that this isn't the time for arguments. Johan reminds everyone that Matthus Pepersack is causing trouble while they argue, urging them to focus on the real issue. Papa Smurfs and Peewit look guilty as they listen. Peewit enthusiastically suggests making peace and offers to help if given a bowl, with Papa Smurf agreeing that it's a great idea. Peewit confidently tries to demonstrate his skill with a tool, promising Papa Smurf that they'll see great results. Papa Smurf watches attentively, eager to see Peewit's promised expertise in action. Peewit uses a tool against a wooden surface, but it breaks with a loud crack, leaving both him and Papa Smurf surprised. Papa Smurf looks on with a mix of shock and disbelief. Peewit examines the broken tool and comments skeptically on its sturdiness. Papa Smurfs become more upset after hearing what Peewit says. Frustrated, Papa Smurf jumps up, pleading with Peewit to stop helping. Peewit walks away, leaving Papa Smurf exasperated by the situation. Papa Smurf instructs Peewit instead disturbing them better if he gathers wood and starts a fire so they can work through the night. A few hours later, the Smurfs are hard at work, singing as they labor, while Johan and Peewit sit with covering their ears. Johan sarcastically reminds Peewit that he's suggesting they sing while working. The next morning, Peewit is sound asleep, snoring loudly, while a voice warns someone to watch out. Suddenly, a loud crash startles Peewit awake, and he exclaims in surprise while tiny Smurfs scurry around him in a flurry of activity. As Peewit regains his bearings, Johan points to a massive tree that has been felled, explaining the source of the noise. Johan assures Peewit that the hardest part is done, noting that the tree's core will be used for crafting, while Peewit grumbles about being woken up so abruptly. Papa Smurf reassures Peewit and Johan that if everything goes well, they will be finished by tomorrow, allowing Peewit to confront Matthus Pepersack again, though Peewit is unhappy about his impending headache. Johan expresses concern about finding someone without any clues, while Papa Smurf confidently states they have a way. Peewit remains grumpy, lamenting the miserable surroundings. Papa Smurf explains that they have Smurfs tracking Matthus' every move, promising to guide Johan once the flute is ready. A Smurf excitedly points out to Papa Smurf that another Smurf is arriving. Papa Smurf jumps and says the Smurf that come is energetically pursuing Matthus Pepersack. Papa Smurf happily waves and shouts a greeting to a bird flying overhead. The Smurf, perched on the back of a bird, shouts out bad news to Papa Smurf. Papa Smurf on the ground listens intently, eager to know the details. Nearby, Johan expresses curiosity about what a mischievous Matthus might be planning, while Peewit comments on the Smurf's failure to retrieve the flute. Papa Smurf delivers more troubling news about Matthus Pepersack's looting of cities without a care. Johan and the Smurf listen gravely. Papa Smurf warns that Matthus Pepersack plans to escape by sea, making him difficult to track. This alarming news prompts Johan and Peewit to strategize quickly before he slips away. Papa Smurf emphasizes the urgency, suggesting that catching Matthus sooner is imperative and promising to expedite their preparations. Johan and Peewit nod in agreement, ready to act swiftly. The Smurfs work tirelessly on their tasks, scaling ladders and chiseling with determination. Their dedication inspires hope that Matthus Pepersack's plans can still be thwarted. The Smurfs continue their diligent work, with the flute gradually taking form as they chisel and hammer away. Their progress is steady, setting the stage for the next phase. Nearby, Peewit excitedly approaches Johan, eager to share his newfound revelation. Johan, curious, asks Peewit what he has figured out. Peewit enthusiastically explains that he's cracked the Smurf language, suggesting it's as easy as replacing nouns and verbs with Smurf. Johan, intrigued yet skeptical, questions the simplicity of Peewit's discovery. Peewit confidently calls out to a nearby Smurf, asking it to bring them food, while Johan looks on with curiosity. The Smurf eagerly responds, expressing its willingness to help, much to Peewit's delight. Peewit turns to Johan with a triumphant smile, pointing out how simple it was to communicate with the Smurf. Peewit is excited as a Smurf hands him a small blue axe, while Johan watches, laughing by the interaction. The Smurf cheerfully exclaims, "Here you go." Peewit, surprised by the Smurf's response, insists he wanted to do something different, while the Smurf proudly describes the item as Smurftastic. Frustrated, Peewit gets down on his knees, trying to explain by miming eating, as the Smurf looks on with confusion, not understanding his gestures. Peewit excitedly exclaims he's found food, startling the Smurf, who shouts in surprise about Smurfs. They both react with surprise and confusion at each other's words. Peewit, frustrated, insists he's been asking about food for an hour, while the Smurf corrects him, saying he actually asked for Smurfin. The misunderstanding continues, with Peewit feeling exasperated. Peewit confidently asserts that's what he meant, but the Smurf clarifies that Peewit actually intended to say Smurf. Peewit looks perplexed as the Smurf explains the difference between Smurf and Smurf, causing even more confusion. The Smurf continues to elaborate, trying to clarify the proper usage of Smurf, which only adds to Peewit's puzzled expression. Peewit listens intently but seems to struggle with the Smurf's linguistic nuances. Suddenly, Peewit bursts into a joyful song, dancing around energetically as the Smurf looks on in surprise. The Smurf stands there with a questioning expression, seemingly pondering Peewit's unexpected musical outburst. After a while, finally, in a snowy forest, Peewit and Johan watch excitedly as the Smurfs complete their work, eager to see the results of their efforts. After they receiving the new flute, Peewit and Johan are having a light-hearted discussion about trying out a new magical trick, with Peewit eagerly to give it a try. Johan, noticing Peewit's eagerness, reaches out to take a whistle from him, expressing his desire to be the first to try it. Peewit playfully protests, questioning why Johan should go before him. Peewit defends his right to go first by teasing Johan about his lack of musical knowledge, while complimenting his dancing skills. Johan stands ready, as Peewit asks if he's prepared. Peewit plays his flute enthusiastically, Johan prepared to accepting magical melody. While Peewit blow the new flute, nothing is happening. He expressed surprise at the instrument's unexpected not magical. Papa Small Smurf stands by, seemingly intrigued by the situation. Johan questioning if something is wrong with the flute, while Peewit wonders aloud if the flute isn't enchanted. Papa Smurf eagerly suggests they take a closer look. Papa Smurf realizes the flute might be missing mandrake sap and decides to fix it immediately. He blames the oversight on his fellow Smurfs, promising to resolve the issue quickly. While Papa Smurf enchanting the flute, Peewit yawns and mentions feeling unexpectedly sleepy as Johan sits beside him. Papa Smurf comes back and reassures them that the flute is ready and just needs to dry, while Peewit and Johan watch attentively. Peewit seems a bit distracted of sleepiness. As Papa Smurf asks if something is wrong, Johan and Peewit struggle with an overwhelming sluggishness. Johan admits confusion, resting his head in his hand, while Peewit leans against him seeking support. Papa Smurf looks on in confusion and concern as Johan and Peewit fall asleep on the rocky ground, exhausted from their earlier sluggishness. Peewit and Johan sit together, looking puzzled as they notice something approaching. Peewit exclaims in wonder about the mysterious arrival, while Johan watches with curiosity. As they ponder their situation, Johan suddenly recognizes Homnibus entering the room. Peewit questions their purpose there, while Homnibus inquires about their progress with interest. Johan and Peewit express their frustration about being summoned too soon, questioning Homnibus's timing. Homnibus, slightly taken aback, listens as they insist he could have waited a bit longer. Homnibus explains that he was worried because they had been stuck in a dangerous place for 3 days and feared something bad had happened. Johan reassures Homnibus that everything went smoothly, while Peewit is frustrated about the Smurfs not providing another flute. Johan insists that Homnibus must send them back immediately, with Peewit eagerly echoing the sentiment to return quickly. Homnibus instructs Johan and Peewit to relax completely and focus on his eyes, preparing them for a spell. Johan and Peewit sit attentively. As Homnibus continues, he urges Peewit and Johan to stop overthinking and embrace the sleep induced by the wizard's spell. Omnibus intensifies his command, firmly repeating the word sleep to ensure the spell's success. Peewit asks Johan if he's asleep yet, to which Johan simply replies, no, indicating that the spell hasn't worked on them. Omnibus, clearly frustrated, exclaims that it's an impossible task to get them to sleep, while Peewit and Johan react with surprise. Their expressions convey disbelief at the wizard's admission of defeat. Johan questions Omnibus seriously about whether he's joking, while Peewit looks on curiously. Omnibus, feeling exhausted, admits he can no longer concentrate enough to cast the spell effectively. Peewit, full of urgency, implores Omnibus not to give up and insists they need to return to the Smurfs, while Johan encourages him to at least try putting one of them to sleep. Omnibus, feeling the pressure, nods in determination as he listens to their pleas. Omnibus decides to attempt the spell again, suggesting they do it one at a time, to which Peewit eagerly volunteers to go first. Johan and Peewit stand ready, hoping for a successful outcome this time. Omnibus, looking weary, mutters about wanting sleep himself as he prepares to cast the spell. Johan watches intently, while Peewit stands expectantly, eager to see if it works. Omnibus leans closer to Peewit, urging him to let go and look at him intently to fall asleep. Peewit stands on tiptoe, trying hard to follow Omnibus's instructions. Suddenly Omnibus starts to feel the effects of his own spell, mumbling about wanting to sleep. Johan tries to catch Omnibus that's starting to fall backward. Peewit watches in surprise. Johan exclaims in frustration as Omnibus collapses into a deep sleep instead of Peewit. With urgency, Johan and Peewit try to wake Omnibus, tapping him and pulling at his robe. Meanwhile, dozens of mules are seen departing from the imposing castle of the shady Mr. Van Eigenheim, carrying mysterious loads as they move down the path. Inside the castle, a furious Van Elgenheim demands an increase in tithes, threatening to imprison those who refuse to pay and seize their goods, while an assistant listens nervously. And so, another chapter ends, but the journey is far from over. More twists, more magic, and more adventure await just ahead. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. A new chapter arrives every day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.